All right, everybody, I've got 7:06. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Let me see who we got here real quick. Oh, we got a pretty good group. All right. Excellent. So let me get my keynote set up. And here we get going. All right, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to the very first Valley Off-Road Bicycling Association local chapter meeting, which we are providing virtually due to COVID. So I do appreciate you all taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. I'm here with Benito Chavez, and we're here at Bicycle World RGV in McAllen. One of the traditions that we wanted to kind of start is hosting our meetings at our local bike shops. So we'll be rotating every month. Hopefully at some point we can come together as a group. I'll always offer the option of virtual. So if you don't want to come in person or due to your work schedule or just location, if you want to participate virtually, that will always be an option for you guys. Comes in especially handy right now when we're in, in this case, we're in lockdown. And they're limiting access to buildings. So really privileged. I wanted to send a shout out and thank you to Tracy Roberts for allowing us to be here at the shop broadcasting via Zoom to you all. My name is David Hernandez. I am the founder of VORBA. I'm the one that got all this craziness started and really brought people together and really kind of continued the traditions that started, decades ago, really. So by no means am I the one that started mountain biking or mountain bike clubs. Those always existed. What I've tried to do is try to bring everybody together under one umbrella and ally ourselves with an organization like IMBA. So I'm going to spend some time kind of talking about what that means and the implications of having that relationship with an international organization like IMBA. Okay. Couple of housekeeping items. One of the things that we ask, make sure that you're muted for the meeting. If you have a question, feel free to come off mute, but please keep your mics muted. We don't want to pick up any domestic violence, you fighting with your wife or your husband or anything like that in the background. So know that you have that availability. There'll be opportunities for us to ask questions, to clarify things. So feel free to do that. You also have a chat box. So if you hit the chat button, you can also type in it. So we'll be checking that periodically throughout our meeting. So if something comes up or a question comes up, you can also type it in the chat. There's going to be information that I'm going to be sharing with you all. There might be a link that I drop in to the chat that you'll click on. I've also included QR codes. So if you are not watching this meeting on your phone, you can grab your phone and just open up your camera and then scan the QR code. That'll take you to the link to the document or to the website that we're talking about. So just know that if you have a separate device, I would recommend that. If you don't, then just click the link in the chat and that'll take you to it. The final thing, this Zoom meeting is being recorded. So there's a lot of people that are missing. If you are not able to attend with us, you'll be able to receive the recording if you are a paid member of IMBA as well as VORBA. Okay, so those are just kind of the housekeeping items. Again, we're thrilled that you all are here with us, and we anticipate about an hour pending the discussion at the end for our meeting. All right, so let's get started. This is the agenda, the items that we'll be talking about. Oh, I forgot about BJ. So let me have BJ come and introduce himself.
My name is Benito Chavez. I'm one of the stewards for Harlingen. So anything that any plans or anything for Harlingen, feel free to contact me.
All right, thanks, BJ. All right, so as far as the agenda goes, obviously we're doing welcome introductions right now. We're not gonna spend time having each of you introduce yourselves. That would just take more time, but I can kind of see who's here with your names that are on here. So again, we do thank you. The next thing, I'll spend some time talking a little bit about IMBA and what exactly IMBA is. What is this organization that you joined? What are the benefits? I'll talk about VORBA, which is our local chapter, and what the distinction between the two is and the relationship between the two. There are some action items that we are going to vote on, so that will be done virtually via a survey. And then we'll open it up for question and answer kind of the last 15 minutes of our meeting. So that's kind of the plan that we have for our VORBA meeting. All right. So as I mentioned, we're basically continuing the traditions that have been established really for decades. Mountain biking is not a new sport here in the Valley. It's been around for many years, and some of us on here can probably harken back to the days of the Cactus Cruisers or the River Rockets or riding out in La Jolla and times like that. So we're really continuing that tradition and making sure that that it can continue on for generations beyond us. And we really wanted to establish our organization to continue the trail building, to continue the opportunities, to host rides, to open up more trails and guarantee that we continue to have access, and also to host events, to continue having a race series and having the 6-hour events, the eliminator style races and those types of things, and to really create opportunities for youth as well as other populations like veterans, or getting more women into mountain biking and things like that. So those are all the different things that we kind of envision that our organization collectively will be able to do. And you can kind of see just from the pictures that I've got in here, the trail building is where it starts. We won't have anywhere to ride if it wasn't for somebody that goes out there with a weed eater or with a shovel, or with loppers and is actually cutting trails. So hats off to our trail stewards. For those of you that have ever volunteered, I've always said any mountain biker worth their salt will go out and work on the trail, because you're feeding yourself, you're giving back to the things that you love to do. Those trails don't happen automatically. It takes leadership. It takes people that are using their own blood and sweat that are going out there to do that. So a big component of VORBA is actually trail building as part of that. As far as IMBA goes, so many of you all have joined IMBA over the course of the last few months during the spring membership drive. So IMBA is the International Mountain Bike Association. It is a 501c3 nonprofit that really helps coordinate a variety of different efforts. The core is really gathering local chapters of trail builders and mountain bikers that are, the boots on the ground, if you will, in their territories that are doing the work, that are maintaining the trails, and are really opening up mountain biking opportunities for the populace. So that's the bulk of what they do. There are some components that have to do with working with the government. So you saw the Great Outdoors Act just passed, and it's just waiting to be signed into law. They do a lot of that government type work as well, and they advocate for mountain biking as well. And this is not just in the United States, it's globally. So there are chapters across the world like ours that are doing the same type of work. IMBA also has components in regards to funding. And we'll get into more detail on what that means, but just know that since we are now affiliated with IMBA, it gives us opportunities to apply for funding that they only offer local chapters for us to use for trail projects. So that's pretty big. It's a funding stream. It gives us a little bit more leverage when working with, let's say, a municipality or with a private landowner. It allows us to go in and say, hey, we can write a grant and we can help fund a trail project of some type. And just the fact that we're affiliated with IMBA, I think also gives us a lot more leverage when working with government entities as well. The final thing I'll say about IMBA is that they offer a lot of education, whether it's how to build trail or rider education. So you'll see a lot of information that comes out from them. You've probably been getting the emails from them as well, that really go toward building up knowledge for people that are involved in mountain biking on the trail building or on the rider side. And you can see how, just the way their website is structured, they have build, ride, and learn. Those are just kind of the main areas that they focus on. So where we come into play, so back in May, we actually threw our hat in the ring and figured we'd go after the local chapter designation. This is something that had been brewing for a couple of years now. I knew of the local chapter program. It was on my radar, and I really wanted to coordinate just all the work that we've been doing here in the Valley, whether it's building trail or hosting events or just hosting rides of some type. So we went through the process of applying. We filed as a 501c3 nonprofit organization in the state of Texas. That was one of the requirements, as well as developing bylaws and having a board. And those are the three main things that needed to happen before we move forward to go to the local chapter program. And some of those things we'll finalize tonight. But for us to even be considered, we had to have those things in place. And then obviously right after that, we had to grow our membership, which we've done. So we are now what is called a local chapter. And that basically means we're the local version of IMBA that is represented by our membership here in the Valley. So as a member of IMBA and as a member of VORBA, you know, you are an advocate, you're an advisor, you're a role model for mountain biking here in the Valley. So that comes along with a lot of different things. You know, when you're out on the trail, you know, you're educating riders on the do's and don'ts, you know, on the etiquette. If you're a trail builder, you're doing the same thing. You know, you're demonstrating how to build trail, and you're trying to avoid road building or people, you know, messing around at the trail and building things that they're not supposed to. So, you know, those are just some of the things that come with being a member of IMBA and a member of VORBA. And that's part of that stewardship of being a mountain biker and being a trail builder. Just some other things as far as local services go. So obviously, you know, we've just come off of our first membership drive. So obviously it's to drive membership, to get more people involved, to be members of IMBA. So I think we've been pretty successful. You'll see a report right now that shows what our current membership is. But really the membership drive continues year round. So you know, although we do the membership drives in the spring, and then there's going to be another one in the fall, people can join at any point. And now more than ever before, IMBA has made membership even easier. You know, now there's a $5 a month option. So, you know, if you don't want to pay the minimum $39 annual fee, you can go to the $5 a month payment, and that keeps you a member, and, you know, allows you to not drop off. You know, if you can't afford $5 a month, you know, that's less than Netflix. And it's a good investment because there's a lot of benefits that come with that, which I'll go into detail in a bit. But number one, you're giving back to the trails. You know, if you yourself can't go out and do trail maintenance, then the monies that you're paying as part of a member, you're helping those that do buy tools or buy equipment and things like that. So it's a benefit if you want to continue having access and to be able to ride the trails that we love. You know, being a member of IMBA and VORBA is very important. Another benefit as being part of an IMBA local chapter is we also have event and volunteer management. So there's software that we get access to that allows us to track all of that, which I'll detail in a bit. Not only are we a 501c3 under the state of Texas, but we also slide under the umbrella of IMBA as a whole. So IMBA has an umbrella 501c3 that we're a subchapter under that. So we kind of have two filings under a nonprofit. So what that means is we don't have to pay taxes. We do have to report all earnings and any donations, but it's really a great benefit to kind of keep us rolling and give us some good seed money to get projects off the ground with. It does offer insurance discounts. So if you've ever hosted an event of some type, you know, you've got to have insurance for the people that are participating in case there's an accident of some type, liability, if you will. So being a local chapter, also we get a membership discount on any insurance that we need to purchase for an upcoming event or locally hosted ride. Advocacy is a big part of what IMBA does. You know, we're given a lot of their logos, so we're able to co-brand. So if you've ever been to like our Facebook page, you'll see the local chapter or Build Trails Close to Home logos. So we get that co-branding. again, that gives us that leverage that we're affiliated with an international organization. We also get, again, opportunities to apply for unique funding grants. So like the Trails Count grant program and the Dig In program, these are grants that are exclusively offered only to local chapters. So this is money that's not offered to anybody else. You know, even if you're a nonprofit, you don't have access to this. This is only offered to local chapters. And we'll talk about that in a bit as well. And then finally, like I mentioned, the education support. So there's a lot of online learning tools that IMBA develops, you know, whether it's, you know, what to do in times of COVID, you know, how to do a group ride, how to do trail maintenance, things like that, or if it's just basic trail etiquette. IMBA provides a wealth of resources that educates riders and individuals that are members to help advocate for that as well. And then finally, there's webinars that IMBA hosts. They just hosted one on trail building that is offered to members as well. And you'll get the emails for you to sign up and register for it. But this is just knowledge that's going to help us for the betterment of our sport. All right. As far as the local chapter, you can kind of see these are the bylaws that we developed with the help of IMBA to create. And if you hold up your phone, you can scan that QR code, and that'll take you to a link to the actual document of our bylaws that we've created. So basically, when we created VORBA, we wanted to ensure the future of mountain biking in the RGV. And we knew it started by bringing together all the trail builders. So one of the first things that I did was I hosted a meeting with just the people that were involved in the trail building, trail maintenance. You know, people like Roman Hernandez in Mission Trails, and BJ in Harlingen, and Edwin Gomez in Brownsville, as well as others. You know, there's several people that are involved in the volunteer process. Even if you just go out that one time, you know, you're part of that. So I knew that was going to be one of the first things that I had to do. Just one of the other functions of VORBA is to really promote responsible riding, maintenance, and preservation of mountain bike trails. Okay. Education is another component that we wanted to include. Encourage youth involvement. So, you know, there's coming up in October, IMBA hosts what's called Take a Kid Mountain Biking Day. It's the first Saturday of October. And hopefully by that time, you know, COVID will lift and we'll be able to do it. But it's a really big celebration of getting kids involved in mountain biking. So whether you're taking your own child or you're taking a group, or if, you know, you're with like the Boy Scouts and you want to take them out for a ride, it's to really get more kids into mountain biking, that next generation. And then there's been discussion about starting a mountain bike league for like middle school and high school kids, all that stuff that hopefully, you know, once we get beyond this, we can discuss at further. Establish, you know, our community trail networks with appropriate mapping and signage. We'll talk about that in a bit, but yeah, just making people aware of where the trails are, giving them a map of like how to navigate and how to get through them. And then more importantly, trail signage. And that's one of the first projects that we're working on right now with a lot of the city parks is to create uniform trail signage across the trails. The other part is to gain support from clubs, industry, and local bike shops and other trail users. So I have a really good relationship with all the local bike shops. So just getting them invested in what we're doing, you know, whether they're in as a sponsor or they donate items or manpower, or in this case, a facility. That's really important. And you know, we help bike shops because we're promoting mountain biking. It's going to get a lot more people interested in buying mountain bikes, even more. You know, I don't know if you can do it any more than right now. I know here in Bicycle World, Tracy sold out of a lot of his mountain bikes, but just really to continue that interest beyond that. As far as clubs, you know, all the clubs that are out there, you know, Team McAllen Racing, Fast Cholo Racing, JT Cycling, all the different clubs that are involved in mountain biking that compete, Breakaway Cycling Boutique, getting those clubs involved and getting them to come to our races and things like that. That's another important aspect of the local chapter. Trail user education and trail sustainability are the last two. All right. Continuing on. As far as the membership drive, let me pull up something really quick so that you all can see. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Everybody's good. All right. Let me pull up this. So I'm going to share the dashboard for VORBA. Everybody see that okay? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, cool. All right. So we had a really successful membership drive that started after our formation in May. You can kind of see where, where it kind of grew from there. So right now we're at a total of 72 members. And you can kind of see the dollar amount that goes with that. We get a percentage of that comes back to our local chapter. So just know that the membership dues that you paid, whether you paid at the $50 amount or at the $5 a month amount, we get a percentage of that comes back to VORBA. You can kind of see that. So we're at 72 members strong as of today, July the 20th. And we'll continue moving, with as many people that are mountain biking or involved here in the Valley, we could easily be at over 100 to 200. It's just a matter of awareness and getting people to see the benefits of them joining our organization. But know that all that funding goes straight back into building and sustaining of the trails, as well as other items like special projects, signs, and things like that. So that's kind of the membership report that we have since we started. And it's not bad. We're a brand new local chapter. So, usually local chapters don't see growth like that, year over year. So we're hoping to sustain that, to keep people. We don't want anybody dropping off. We want them to continue contributing. And then that will continue on from there. All right. So the next thing we have coming up is one of the things that we established with VORBA is we have a designated trail steward for each of the four main trails here in the Valley. And you can kind of see them listed here. So these are people that have kind of taken the lead and are the lead contact for any trail maintenance or new trail projects or any issues at any of the trails. So you can kind of see for Brownsville, we've got Roberto, we've got Edwin and Antonio. We've got pretty much a youth movement in Brownsville. We could probably put Ivan on there as well. I know Ivan's on with us, and Ivan's done a lot of work, and he's from Brownsville. So for Harlingen, like we mentioned, it's BJ, it's Patrick, Tom Kimbrell, and Rolando. For Mission, we have Roman, who's on with us, and Bernie, who's on with us as well. And for Sullivan, we have Marty. So those are the four trail systems that we're kind of looking after, and we have designated trail stewards that kind of keep up what's going on or if there's any issues. So for example, if there's an issue with access, let's say like the city says, we're going to shut it down. These are the people that are going to report back to VORBA what's going on, and so that we can take action and advocate. Or if there's a need of some type, maybe they have a project idea, then they can come to VORBA, to our board, and kind of propose what the idea is. So these are kind of the first point of contact. Instead of 100 different people contacting us, these are the main people that you would kind of work through before coming to us. Okay, so it's a way for us to kind of filter out those concerns. One of the things that the trail stewards do is they also inform us of trail status. So you all probably have seen the trail status updates that are coming up on the RGV mountain biking page, as well as the VORBA Facebook pages. So this kind of informs riders and people that are thinking about going out to the trails, hey, what am I in store for? Is it rideable, or are there issues? We're expecting rain this coming weekend and into next week. So, the trails are more than likely going to be muddy. So one of the trail education items that we do is to prevent people riding muddy trails, to prevent ruts, and why it's not good to do that. So when we put these out, it's try to prevent people from going out there. Now, it's not going to stop somebody who's adamant about riding their bike in the mud because they think it's fun, but it gives us the opportunity to educate them on the do's and don'ts of when to and to not to ride trail. Okay. So sometimes these are hit or miss. You know, I've been trying to not do them daily. I'll actually do an update whenever there's a significant change. So if there's mud, then you'll see an update. If their trails are ready to ride, you probably won't see one for a couple of days until it is. So, and Roman, you can see I changed the logo for Mission Trails to a cactus. Somebody requested that, so I kind of included that. Somebody had a question in the chat. Okay. Oh, Ivan. So yeah, that was one of the things that came out with the.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Roman.
Well, it's not a question. Just also remember the Facebook page, Mission Texas MTV. There also they show a status for the trails and everything.
Yes, thank you, Roman. Yeah, so Roman is the one that runs the page for Mission Trails, the Mission Texas mountain bike page. So he basically mirrors what we post on VORBA as well as the RGV mountain bike page. So, so that we wanted something really simple. We didn't want to go into too much detail. Sometimes I'll put some wording on there that says, you know, soft or dry or overgrown and stuff like that. And right now, this is the status of the trails. Pretty much everything's open except Brownsville. We've been having some issues with Brownsville. It's like really overgrown in some parts. So, so that's kind of a call to action where maybe our trail stewards will set up a trail maintenance day and we'll go out there and we'll do the work ourselves. The only trail that does not have a city crew that works on it is Sullivan. Mission Trails, I know they do some limited, but Roman and his crew pretty much do the bulk of it. But Brownsville and Harlingen, pretty much they're maintained and cut by the city crew. All right, moving on. One of the other projects that we're working on is we're consulting with the 3 cities, with specifically with the Parks and Rec department on kind of coordinating uniform trail signage. So one of the things that we felt was really missing is when you go to a mountain bike trail, a lot of times, I know we have this problem in Harlingen, a lot of times you don't know what direction to go or what section it is or where you're at. So we wanted to come up with a uniform way of marking the trails that's pretty much standard if you've been to any trail north of the valley, you know, whether you go to San Antonio, Opie Snable or McAllister, or if you go to Austin, you know, Brushy Creek or any of their city trails, you'll see signs that look something like this. So we want to bring that same uniform system down to the valley. So you can kind of see, IMBA actually provides recommendations on what that looks like. So you'll see trails are basically color coded by difficulty. So, you know, you see white being easiest, green, blue, and then into black and black diamond. I don't think we have any black trails here, maybe Sullivan, but pretty much everything we have is either going to be white or green with some blue. On the left, you kind of see a sample of what a trail sign would look like. So we wanted to go with something really cheap and cost effective. We didn't want to dish out, we didn't want cities to get sticker shock and say, well, we're not going to blow, you know, $5,000 just on signage. So you can kind of see it's like a little strip that's bendable. So if you crash into it, it basically folds and goes back into place. But, and it has stickers on it. These are decals that are applied. And it's a sticker pack that's sold at a variety of different websites that tell you the name of the trail. It tells you the difficulty rating. It tells you who's allowed on the trail. So we know that a lot of the mountain bike trails we use are multi-use. It also says, you know, no motor vehicles, no motorcycles. It can say something like helmet required, or, you know, no headphones or one headphone out, or something to that effect. And it'll also give you trail direction. And that's one of the things that we want to help establish is just trail flow. We know a lot of our trails have the issue where you have two-way traffic, which can be a nightmare when you have a rider coming at speed. So one of the things that we're working on right now, again, with City Parks and Rec, so it's Damrus McLeon in Brownsville, it's Javier Mendez in Harlingen, and it's Brad Benson in Mission, is really coordinating these efforts and creating awareness, because a lot of times they're not aware of these types of uniform difficulties rankings that like organizations like ours in IMBA might be requesting. So I know right now the closest one to implementing this is Harlingen. They've already requisitioned aluminum signs that they're going to be putting up. We're going to kind of test it out there first, and then hopefully Brownsville and Mission will follow suit. So this was a request from some of our membership. This is something that a lot of people have been wanting, and we want to keep it uniform across every trail that you would ride here in the Valley, so that if I go from Harlingen to Mission, I can expect to kind of see the same trail signage, and I can look at, you know, the difficulty ratings. You know, if I'm a brand new mountain biker, I definitely want to stay away from blue, definitely black. Okay, any questions on this part? All right, moving on. As far as volunteering, so we know that there are people that go out to our trails. There's people that go and help out Roman. I know there's people that come out and help BJ. There's people that help out Edwin and others down in Brownsville. So we wanted to kind of capture the amount of time and the people that are doing this volunteer work. And I'm going to share with you the tool that IMBA has recommended. And it's something called Golden Volunteer. And I'm going to pull this up really quickly. There we go. Everybody see that? Okay. So this is the dashboard that all of our trail stewards have access to. This basically summarizes the work that we're doing. It shows how many volunteers have been going out to the trails. It gives you an aggregate number of hours that are being put in that people are not being paid for. You know, we're not counting any of the city crews or city workers. These are people like ourselves that are going out on our own time and are putting in hours at the trails. And it quantifies the amount of time that a volunteer is putting in, kind of using a daily labor wage. This is important when we go after grants, because we show proof of the amount of time that people are volunteering to build trail or maintain trail in our territory. So you can kind of see we've got 10 people that we've had registered for a total of 51.92 hours, which equals to about $1,300 volunteer time. So if we were to apply for a grant and they were to ask, you know, do you all, you know, have volunteers and how much time and how would you quantify that? We have evidence of how that works. And it's a pretty simple system. You know, we create an event in the app, and then as people show up to our events, we basically get their name and we get their email address. That's all that's needed, no other information. And that allows us to check them in and check them out at the beginning and at the end of a trail build or a trail maintenance day. So we've been doing this. We just need to get a little bit more organized and how we're capturing it, because we know that there's people that go out every week and do this type of work, and we just need to quantify that. So this is a tool that IMBA provided us and allows us to capture. So all those hours that you guys are putting out at Sullivan or at Mission Trails, or even if you're going out alone, we can capture that. Just a matter of coordinating that through your trail stewards, or you can contact me directly and I'll put you in the system and set you up. Okay, so that's another part as far as volunteering goes. All right, continuing. Let me share my slides again. All right. Moving on. There was some information that IMBA put out in regards to mountain bike safety and COVID-19. So they basically established some guidelines. If you're hosting a ride or if you're hosting a trail maintenance day, just some things to kind of keep in mind. It's basically social distancing, making sure you're masking up, and, you know, making people aware of the precautions that they have to take. I know we've been doing some trail maintenance in Harlingen. I know the guys, when we go out, we're all masked up, you know, we're with gloves, we're pretty much covered head to toe. And we make sure that we social distance. We're not working side by side. We're not digging. We're not doing dirt work right next to each other. We're spreading out, and we're kind of basically assigning different sections of the trail that we're working on. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can scan that QR code, or you can go to that website, and it'll give you more information. If you're riding with your group or with your team or with your buddies, just kind of keep those things in mind. I know when the couple of rides that we've hosted out in Harlingen, you know, I've asked that people bring masks, you know, and then we space out, that we're not piling on top of each other. So that's another important concern. All right. Before we get into action items, I want to open it up for any questions. You can come off mute or you can type in the chat. Any questions on anything that I've covered so far?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Roman.
Okay, you mentioned about signage for trails, but what about we start talking first on the first meeting about the signage for the rulers, about for the trails designs? You gonna go to design with 10 rulers,
Yes.
you rider? So I don't see nothing about that one.
Yeah, that's an action item. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, that's coming up.
Okay, good.
All right, this is Galvan.
Hey, Ivan.
Yeah, I had a question. It's just implementing. I mean, much of us that go out and volunteer, as myself, I take out my family. You know, I'm always with my family, and we put in the time. It's not only this organization we go and volunteer to. So in the other organizations, they sign our paperwork for my children, specifically for them, where they're getting credit for them in the future to have that man hours, you know, putting in the work. I want to know, I went ahead and put them into Amoeba as well. Would you be sending them an email as well when we go out and volunteer?
Yeah, I mean, Ivan, I can show you how to set it up. You can definitely sign up all your family, and then through the Golden app, it actually tracks everything that you all sign up for, and it actually gives you like a little report. So like if
they're already in there.
Yep.
They're already on there. It's just that I want to find out how can I show. I mean, just like you said, the man hours that would be in there. Would you be sending an email to them as well, for them to be keeping track of that?
You can basically request it from me, because I have access to all the accounts, and then I can send you a report just for an individual person or for your family.
Okay. For instance, I go out there and put in the work. You know, basically, I go in every week. I mean, these are hours that, like you said, we go out there and put in the work, and so do my children. How would we have that communication? Not only myself, but other people that are in VORBA.
Yeah. So what you can do, Ivan, I know I've done this with Harlingen. Like, we can set it up so that it's like a weekly event, and then you just tell me or shoot me a text, and then tell me like, hey, I put in 3 hours today, and then we'll register that. So we can put in the hours after the fact. It doesn't have to be like the moment you're there and the moment you leave. You can say, hey, I put in 3 hours today, and then we can set it up as a recurring event that happens every week.
Okay? All right, that sounds good. All right.
Yeah, is just to capture, because we know you guys are putting in hours of work. It allows us to capture that volunteer time, and then more importantly, to quantify it. So again, when we apply for a grant, or when we go to the city and say, you know, this is the amount of hours and how much that would equate to as far as in dollars that our volunteers have put in. So it's really important. I know I don't want to put the burden of you all having to track that. Just let me know, or let one of your trail stewards know, and then you can manually put it in as well.
I mean, that sounds great. I mean, for all the members that are out there and that bring in their families. I mean, their families into it, you know?
I mean, there was talk. Yeah, I know Roman had brought up the idea of having an Adopt a Trail type of program, where you have a specific person or group of people that have a specific segment of the trail that they're responsible to work on. You know, I think that would be great, you know, and they can just work on that one section whenever they want to. And then on a trail build day, everybody comes out and works on that, on their respective section. So we can discuss that during a trail builders meeting more at length. But good question. Any other questions, guys, before we move on to the action items? You can come off mute or you can put it in the chat, either way.
Hey, David, Patrick here.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, man, I really like the idea of adopting a section and, you know, just kind of maintaining the surrounding area, like maybe have a trash pickup day, make sure the loppers are being used out there so we don't get scratches on our knuckles, on our biceps, across our face, stuff like that. I'm really in for that. And then everyone coming together to make sure that we keep it all clean on a build day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot more traffic going with the pandemic going on. It'd be great if we were to go out there, maybe have like a trash bash or something, and then we turn those items that we pick up in recyclables or, you know, straight up trash or whatever.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
like that.
idea. We'll talk about, you know, we do another meeting with just the trail builders and the
Let's go.
trail stewards, and we'll discuss that and then report back to the greater membership. But
Fantastic.
good question. All right, thanks, Patrick. All right, anybody else before we go on to action items? All right, let's do it. So there is a link. Hold on, let me get the link before I share out. There we go. All right, let me put this in the chat. You can click on the link or you can scan it with your phone. Let me get it up on the screen. And we're going to do our voting virtually. For those of you that are on right now, those that were not able to make the meeting, I'm going to leave the survey open until the end of tomorrow, close of business tomorrow. So they will be getting this via email. So there's 4 items that we have that we've got to vote on. The first one is going to be our current board membership. Okay, there's going to be 3 of us that we ask that you all vote. It's more of a formality. We kind of wrote us into it already just to get our chapter established. But we do have openings for 2 additional board members, which will be on the form for you to be able to write in. So if you want to nominate yourself, or if you want to nominate somebody that you know that's a member, you can do that. We're going to approve our Q3 budget. So right now we're in Q3, so that's basically July, August, September. So for the next 3 months, we're going to approve our budget and it'll have the dollar amount on there. Q4 will be October, November, December. So we'll have a budget update pretty much every month on what our balance is. We do have monies that we received back from membership, as well as other avenues, which I'll describe in a little bit. We have 2 expenses that we already want to use some of those funds for that we'll be voting on. And then finally, there are 2 projects that we want to approve for application. So these are projects that we're just going to apply for to see if we can get some funding that we're going to approve for us to go through that process. So I myself have experience as a grant writer. So I'll be working on the grant application along with some of the city Parks and Rec grant writers as well. So that's something that I'm kind of taking the lead on that we'll be doing. So was everybody able to access that document? Okay, I'll kind of go through each one and describe it. If you have any questions, come off mute and feel free to ask. All right, so the first action item is the approval of the purchase of 3 aluminum signs that will be placed at the 3 main trails. So Brownsville, Montebella, Harlingen Arroyo trails, and Mission trails that have the rules of off-road riding. You can kind of see of what that trail sign would look like there on the left. We met with the trail stewards and we kind of came up with just like the 10 main rules that we would want to see that are specific for off-road single track trail riding, not necessarily the hike and bike or the park itself, but just the rules for riding the mountain bike trail. So we basically said helmet is required, ride in the proper direction, no unauthorized trail building, so no road trail building, no earbuds or headphones. You know, a lot of times we see runners out there and we're dinging our bell or we're yelling at them, they can't hear us, so no earbuds. Yield to faster traffic. So again, the etiquette is you move to the right. As a person yells trail, they pass you on the left. So just making sure that if you're slower, you move out of the way. Don't litter. No pets on the trails. A lot of times we'll come across dog walkers and they'll have leashes, or worse, they're unleashed, and that can be a liability. And also they leave their poop. And a lot of times people down here, they don't pick up the poop for their animals. So no pets on the trails. No riding on muddy trails, no motor vehicles. I know we've been seeing motorcycles in Harlingen. We've been trying to catch them. And then finally, be respectful of people and wildlife. So some basic trail rules. You'll know that it has our logo on the bottom and it kind of describes what VORBA is. So it allows us to put our branding. And then we'll install these at the trailhead of each of the 3 main trails that are on there. And we're asking for an approval budget of, I can't see it, $200 for this. Okay, I've priced them. If I can get it cheaper, I will. But that's basically the budget that we're asking for, $200 for the trail signs. Again, they'll be put at the trailhead, wherever you enter the trail, this will be placed there. This is outside of the trail signage that the cities are working on. This is something that we would purchase, that we would take to them, and with their permission, we would put this up. I've talked to 2 of the 3 Parks and Rec directors. They're all for it. They're supportive of it. I just need to talk to Brad Benson in Mission and get his approval. But I think pretty much this will allow us to get some branding out there, and just one of the requests that we had from our trail stewards, as well as other riders that want to see some sort of uniform trail rules that are out there. Any questions on this action item? Everybody good with this?
Yes.
All right. So go ahead and vote on your form. That should be.
Actually, one quick question.
Yeah.
Once I spoke with a person from Parks and Recreation in Rio Grande City for the Stark County Trails.
Okay.
And I plan on working on them as well. Would those eventually get added in as well or not?
Yeah, no, definitely. I know, I think we had talked about, I don't know if I talked with you or I talked with somebody about Rio Grande City. So yeah, once we get that up and running and schedule a meeting with their Parks and Rec department, we'll add them to the mix, definitely. And keep us up to date. Who is this? Let's see your name.
This is Carlos Guerra.
Carlos. Okay. All right, Carlos, keep us up to date.
I spoke with them just this week actually, and I know they already did the running trails. And they said, well, they told me they were going to work on the mountain bike ones next. I'm not sure when that is, but it's coming up.
Did they get rid of the Bobcat?
No idea.
Okay. Yeah, I remember they had an issue with a wild Bobcat that was out there. All right. Next action item. One of the requests that we got from the trail stewards was basic tools. So for those of you that have done trail building, know that this is kind of an essential tool that we use. It's the Rogue hoe rake, which has, it has a metal rake on one side, and then it has kind of the axe chopper on the other side. And it's also a stomper, so you can pack down the dirt with it. So it's kind of a universal tool that we use for trail building. So we're asking for the 7-inch, I think it's not 7-inch, but 70-inch version of this. They cost about $75 each. So we're asking for 4 of them for a budget expenditure of $300. And this would be given to one for each of the trails, one for Brownsville, one for Harlingen, one for Mission, and one for Sullivan. And one of the trail stewards will be the one responsible for it, and will take it out whenever there's a trail build day. So some basic tools that we figured would be needed that would kind of assist people with what they're doing. Some of us already have this tool, but this just gives you an extra one in case you need it. So we're asking for $300 approval on that. If we can get them cheaper, even better. As part of IMBA, we do get discount for some trail tools. I believe Rogue is one of them. So I need to look into our discount for that. So we can buy 4. Any questions on this one? Let's see, chat.
Hey, one quick question.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great to say yes to everything, but is there some kind of limit or something?
Oh. Yes. Did I not show you all our balance? Thought I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now, our balance, so we received a check for, see if I have it with me. Might have left it. We just opened our account, and we received a check for $1,825.25. That was from IMBA, and that comes from our membership drive. We also received a donation of $60. Tracy Roberts hosted a bike toss. Some of you all saw the pictures of that on the RGV mountain bike page. So he did it as a fundraiser. So that generated $60. And then myself and Tom Kimbriel, we went out to do some consulting with the Marine Military Academy in Harlingen, which is building their own private trail. And they donated $100 to VORBA. So we're at just over about $2,000-ish dollars as our starting budget for Q3. Okay, so there is a limit. It's not unlimited funding, but know that every quarter we get more funds that are added based upon the membership dues.
As far as the items that were proposed today, though, the budget covers all of it?
Yeah. So out of that 2,000 plus, we're requesting 200 for the sign and 300 for the tools. So about $500 in expenditures. Any other questions? That's also an item on that website, that form that I sent you all to vote for yes or for no. All right. Continuing. So there's a grant that is available to us called the Dig In Grant. It's offered by Shimano and IMBA. Applications open up August the 1st, so we can start applying in about another week or so. It's only offered to IMBA local chapters, so nobody else can apply for these, not even if you're a nonprofit. You have to be a local chapter like VORBA under IMBA, okay? It is what is called a matching or in-kind grant, so that means we have to do a little bit of our own fundraising for them to match it. The amount is $1,000, so we've got to fundraise $1,000, and IMBA will match us with another $1,000. So it's a $2,000 grant that we're able to generate. Okay, so there's 2 projects that we kind of have in the pipeline that we'd like to apply for, which means that our membership will create awareness and hopefully generate interest to have people donate, and also give feedback on what the project entails. Okay, and I'm going to outline the 2 projects, and these will both be action items up for vote. Okay, so the first project is proposed project is a pump track at Brownsville Montebella Park. This would be a dirt pump track located behind the restroom facilities between where the playground and that dirt mound is. There's a patch of land that they would dedicate it for us. The idea is to design kind of a figure 8 design, which you can kind of see the logo right there. We'll design the final one in SketchUp, but basically it's a figure 8 design with 4 berms on each of the sides and then rollers in the middle. Basically the city will provide all the dirt and also access to a crew and a backhoe if we need it to shape the dirt. They also will provide a water source that is connected to the restroom facility, which is important. If you've ever worked on a pump track, you know that you've got to have water to pack down the dirt and reform it and reshape it every couple of weeks. So we'll have access to that as well. Okay. So the pump track has been something, I remember pitching this to the city parks and rec at Brownsville, like 5 years ago. So we're bringing that one back. The city's all over it. They want to do it. So we figured we'd get some seed money as one of our projects that we're proposing for the dig-in. And we could use that for tools. We could use that for, for contracting somebody if we need it. Just a variety of different things. We'll have to actually detail all that out as well as design the final design for doing that. So that's one of the proposed projects we have for dig-in. So this again would be $1,000 that we would donate. We would get people to donate up to $1,000 and then a matching $1,000. So $2,000 would go toward this project. Questions on this one? All right, moving on. Another proposed project is a mountain bike skills park. This would be a designated area off of the Henry Roberts Loop, which is the new track, new trail that we have in Harlingen that's adjacent to the thicket, which has been there for decades. So there's an area that we've designated that would be a skills park that has some downhill terrain and some really cool features that you could build wood structures and a variety of different things. So this would totally be a blue trail or more. It would not be a beginner park that we would be catering to, the enduro downhill style BMX rider that we would designate. So you can kind of see it would be various dirt berms, wood structures, skinnies, a wall ride. Really, it's a blank template on what we could build. And this one specifically, since there would be wood construction involved, this one would go toward purchase of materials, the 2x4s and things like that are needed to build, the different structures that are out there. It would also be to contract somebody to do that type of work. So those are the 2 projects that we have in the pipeline. Trail stewards, if you have another idea, reach out to me and we can put that as part of it. We want to get a couple of different projects going in the hopes that at least one of them gets approved and is listed. And if you go to the IMBA website, if you look at dig-in projects, you can see kind of like all the dig-in projects across the country that were funded. And you can kind of see just the different uses that they've done with that. Okay. Any questions on this one? And really what we're asking for is just approval to apply. It's nothing that we have to commit to until it's approved. Once it's approved, then we've got to build it. All right. No questions? All right. So let me stop that real quick and let me pull up the form.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
Would we be able to volunteer or do the work on those projects that you just mentioned?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it would be a mix of,
man.
yeah, volunteers. It would be city. It could even be contracted people that we hire that would come in and either do consulting or do the actual work itself. And we would have to include that in the project proposal. So that's why it's important if you have an idea, you've really got to be thinking about all the different pieces that are going to be involved in getting that project off the ground. So we can put that into words. All right, one of the things that I forgot to mention, we do need to vote in our current board. So right now, it's myself as president chair. It's BJ as secretary or vice chair, right next to me. And then Tracy was not able to be here. He had a family commitment tonight, but Tracy as treasurer. Tracy's the one that opened up our bank account, and it should be finalized hopefully by Monday. So those are our 3 board members. That's what we wrote into the bylaws. That's what was submitted for our 501c3 filing. That's just to get us started. Our board is elected for a maximum of 2 years, so you can serve up to 2 years or less, and then we elect new board members. There is an opening for a secretary and for a general board member. So we have to have an odd number of board just for voting purposes. So there's always a vote to change sides. There's always that odd vote to determine which way. We do ask that you approve that. It's more of a formality of what's already established in our bylaws. Again, down the road, we'll elect another board if somebody leaves or once their term expires. You'll see the budget, $2,045.75 is what we have right now. That will be deposited on Monday. So that is our Q3 budget. So we basically get a deposit from IMBA that is a percentage of our membership dues that we get every quarter. So there'll be another deposit in October for Q4, and then another one in January for Q1. Okay, so every 3 months we get monies from IMBA. We ask that you approve that. You can kind of see the different action items. So expense approval for the signs, for the trail tools, and then approval for the 2 dig-in projects. And like I said, obviously not all 72 members are on with us tonight. I'll keep the form open until midnight tomorrow. Close it at right before midnight tomorrow, the end of the day, so that we can gather everybody's votes. Okay. Now it's only paid members of IMBA and obviously part of our local chapter VORBA. This is not just anybody that is a fan of VORBA or is on the RGV mountain bike page. These are only paid members that have the ability to vote and have say so in these items that we're mentioning. Okay, so it's just the 72 of us that are our membership. All right. So we are just over an hour. I wanted to open this up for Q&A. Any questions or clarifications on anything that we've talked about tonight? I know I threw a lot at you all, but I'll open up the forum right now. Any questions or discussion?
Hey, David, do you know how well those signs that we're going to grab hold up for, I guess, like destruction or sabotage? Because, there's a lot of people out there in the Harlingen ones that just love to take apart things.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a trial run.
Okay,
Fortunately,
cool.
we're not making the expense. I had this idea of putting in these real nice fence posts that had, the laser etching on it, but I don't want to risk that with somebody stealing it or destroying it or spray painting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're letting the city kind of take the lead on that. They're going to put up aluminum signs. We'll see how they hold up, and then see how they stand the test of time. But obviously, we want the city to take the lead on that in case there's any issues. We don't want to incur that expense. The only sign that we're going to put up are those trail roll signs. That's the only investment we can make.
Sounds great.
Anything else, guys? Okay, Santi joined us. Welcome, Santi. Okay, he's got a question. Uh, would VORBA, what will VORBA do to get new people, specifically young people, into the sport of mountain biking and cycling in general? Okay, great question. And I know one of the reasons why we formed VORBA was to get more youth involved. So as I mentioned before, first Saturday of October is Take a Kid Mountain Biking Day. So that's one of our big annual events that we'll be doing. But there's been talk of doing like a youth mountain bike camp. Uh, I was actually involved many years back in forming a mountain bike race league for middle school and high school students. That would be a club sport. So those are all up in the up for grabs. You know, if we want to take the lead and kind of coordinate those efforts, we can definitely do that. You know, now that we're together and you know we can bring volunteers in, you know, really there's a lot of things we can do. You know, we just got to kind of pace ourselves and not have too much going on or we spread ourselves too thin. But yeah, definitely am all for getting more youth involved in cycling and mountain biking specifically. Other questions, guys? Any issues at any of the trails that you've encountered? I know there was some discussion at Mission Trails in regards to some of the BMX jump area, and I know Roman, you and I tried to respond to that individual as far as what his concerns were, but there was a little bit of misunderstanding in regards to what was going on. So those are just some of the things that we need to clarify with people that have a misunderstanding of what our organization is about. You know, um, we're not taking anything away. We're not leaving out people. We're trying to be more inclusive and get more people involved. And I think that might be the perception with that one individual. Roman, I don't know if you have anything else to say about that.
Yeah, I have a lot of things, but I think so is a good starter. So I don't want to go to put a lot of questions right now, but this is a good starter. So they're going to start with that one, and after that one, maybe next meeting, I be go started with another thing we needed and everyone needed. But I think so right now it's a good starter. It's a good thing to do. So I feel confident that's coming. That'll be good for everyone. So maybe next meeting I will go put some good ideas over there. I will go meeting with Bernie and also with Santi, because Santi is a very good guy, very good helper, and also is a very good trail builder. So I'll be talking with these guys and try to make some new flow on mission, but they're gonna go to spot maybe next meeting or couple meeting next one.
Okay, thank you, Roman. Excellent. You know, just one of the things I was going to throw out there, you know, if there is an issue with a trail system, you know, where we're running into issues with access or, you know, private landowner doesn't want us to go on there anymore, or it's the city shutting it down, you know, we can come in and help advocate for access or prevention of anything being closed or destroyed or shut down. And then we also have the support of IMBA, who has tons of experience litigating, you know, defending trail access, things of that nature. So, you know, we have different layers of support that has been afforded to us since we are now an IMBA local chapter. When before, you know, we were just like a club of mountain bikers, you know, a little bit less leverage than now that we're affiliated with IMBA. So if we do encounter that, if we run into issues where we need to, you know, litigate, know that we do have the support through IMBA to do that.
Remember, David, remember about, I read about Mission City, they received like a $2,000 grant for repair Mission Trail, something like this. I don't know if sure is right or not, but they supposed to be received or maybe gonna go to receive in a couple months, something like that one. So I appreciate it that you keep your eyes open on that one. To this guy, they put the money on the trails. And then they're gonna go to put in another park on another private jar or something like that one. So
yeah, No, definitely. I mean, we are the connection to, the municipalities, to the city parks and rec. Like I mentioned, we have relationships with all the city parks and rec directors, with city government and stuff like that. So we can be that communication that communicates for our organization collectively directly to these different city leaders if there's a concern or if there's something that we need to get done
Perfect.
and things like that. Versus, they don't want 100 different people calling and messaging when it can just come from one voice, and know that we represent 72 paid membership, and we're also affiliated with IMBA. That gives us a lot of leverage when having those negotiations. Okay. Anything else, anybody? Good.
Just an observation. I just came from Mission Trails a little while ago, and I noted that, I mean, this is more a trail, maintenance and design issue, but near the beginning there on the out and back, where you're running parallel trails, there's a section where there's a crossover between the two, and recently I had put a bunch of branches and stuff to separate those two, because the way it's set up, it entices people to go the wrong direction on the trail. They cross over. Well, today when I was out there, somebody had moved all of that stuff out, and I encountered at least 7 people, even a family with some kids on bikes going the wrong direction. And that's a very dangerous area for that, because you're going pretty fast when you're coming back towards the parking lot. So I think that's one area. It kind of plays into that rogue trail building thing, where somebody took it upon themselves to remove that stuff that we had put there, or I had put there on purpose.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Especially right now with people, being bored at home and going out to the trails and really not knowing what they're doing out there. And they get bored and they'll start messing around and taking away structures or markers and stuff like that. So I think the best thing that we can do when we're out there is, educate people, let them know the do's and don'ts, until we do get appropriate trail signage that goes up. And, at least when those signs go up, we can reference that. So if we see somebody doing something they're not supposed to, we can pull over and say, hey man, I noticed that you're doing this, make sure you don't do that. And if they question you, say, hey, there's a trail sign at the trailhead that indicates, these are the trail rules of the off-road trail. This is what you're not supposed to be doing. But yeah, I think we just need to be vigilant when we're out there riding ourselves, is just, letting people know and not being mean about it, but just letting them know in a nice way, unless, they're coming across rude, then of course you can respond appropriately. But again, that's being in that ambassador, being in that advisor that comes as being part of VORBA, and letting them know what's appropriate and what's not to do. And I know right now we're having a lot of issues with vandalism and with people, taking down structures and weakening the trail and making it easier and stuff like that. And, that it's hard to police. There's people that are out on the trails all hours of the day and night. And like I said, the only thing we can do is just be vigilant and try to prevent it as much as we can. Outside of putting like a hunting camera that on a specific section that's being messed up, that's all that we can do right now. And trail stewards, as you encounter issues, let us know. And if there's something that we can do to help, we'll relay the message. If it's something that we need to let the city know about, we can do that as well. I know one of the requests that we had was to get more city police departments to patrol the trails at different hours of the day and the evening. And I think that's going to be important as well.
Kind of a follow-up question. Sorry, I got here a little bit late. In that budget for the signage,
Yep.
Does that include, or are we planning on doing any directional signage out on the trail itself?
So we're letting the city take the lead on that. We don't want to incur that expense. So right now, I think Harlingen's probably the furthest along. They've actually got like the proposal for the aluminum signs. Talking to Jesus Mendiola, he's on the board for Mission Parks and Rec. They had that as an agenda item. I don't know if they voted that in yet. And in Brownsville, they're still waiting. So we're kind of letting the city take the lead on that. Again, we didn't want to incur that expense on us. letting them order the signage, and then we'll advise on where to set it up. So when we're trying to establish specific trail flow direction, our trail stewards, our membership will be out there at the trails informing the city crews where they're going to place those markers. So that's kind of the plan of action right now. And again, I've been following up with Brad at Mission. He's kind of short-staffed right now. Same thing in Brownsville. Harlingen, like I said, furthest along. Hopefully they'll have theirs up first. All it's going to take is just one of the city Parks and Rec departments to get it going, and then we can say, hey, look what they're doing in Harlingen, or hey, look what they're doing in Mission, and the other ones will follow suit.
Hey, David, it's Adrian. Just want to let you know on the city of Brownsville, that is an agenda item as well that has been approved signage for not only the Montebello trails, but also for the linear trail that's in the works. I know the funding is still not there, but it is something that the city is working on. So hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later.
Adrian, thank you. Adrian's also a board member for Brownsville City Parks and Rec. So that's perfect. Again, we didn't want to incur that expense because if they're vandalized, people steal them, which they typically do, we didn't want to have to lose out on that expense. So we want the city to maintain that and sustain it moving forward. We're just advising and letting them know, like, hey, if we want to put trail difficulty markers, this is the system that we're going to use, and kind of keeping that uniform. But yeah, it's totally going to be a city initiative and city funded. Other questions? Everybody's good? Everybody vote? All right, BJ, anything?
Oh, I just wanted to let everyone know, recently in Harlingen, the entrance to the new trail was a little gnarly. So I got together with the rest of the stewards, and I talked to them about maybe making it a little more accessible. And that's kind of the way that the stewards are going to be handling stuff like that. So any changes or anything like that, again, go to the stewards, and the stewards make the decision, and the stewards are going to bring it to the board, and that's when it will be approved. But that's what we did. We spoke amongst each other. We agreed on it. I brought it up to David, and he approved it. So that's kind of how any changes go as far as the trails go and as far as the stewards go. So keep that in mind. If anyone has any plans or wants to do any changes, first discuss it with the stewards, and the stewards will bring it up to David. So that's about it.
Thanks, BJ. Yeah, that's kind of the order of how we're trying to filter out. Instead of 100 people coming at us with trail ideas or things like that, everything filters through the trail stewards, and that's kind of why we elected that process as them being representatives for each of the trails. The same will happen once we get Rio Grande City up and running. Carlos, hopefully you'll be one of the trail stewards, and then you'll report back to us what your needs are. It's also been really good because it's allowed us to coordinate volunteers. You know, we have people that are willing to make the trip and go to a trail outside of their own city and help out. I know Ivan, he came out to Harlingen multiple times to help us out. So, and he lives in Brownsville, and so on and so forth. You know I've gone out to Sullivan, I've gone out to Mission and done some work, maybe not recently, but in years past. But it really allows us to have a collective of volunteer trail builders that go out there. And, you know, we get significant rain in the next couple of weeks and months, you know, with these tropical storms and depressions. We know the damage that those do to our trails and the amount of work that it requires to bring them back. I know we're still recovering in Brownsville with Montebello, which is totally overgrown, but just the canal section got really damaged from some of the flooding. So we're going to need that. You know, we get significant rain in the next few weeks and months. We're going to need those volunteers to go out there and help reopen the trails so that they're rideable again. So we appreciate all the efforts of anybody that volunteers their time. And like I mentioned, you know, any mountain biker worth their salt goes out and does trail work. You're just feeding yourself. All right. Any final questions, concerns, feedback? Everybody good? So our plan is to have a monthly meeting around this time of the month, kind of like the third week of the month. We'll have our monthly VORBA meeting. It'll be kind of an update of projects, budget, any new initiatives. And any action items that come up. So next month might not be as heavy as what we covered today, but really this allows us to kind of keep the membership informed of just some of the decision making that's happening, that's coming through VORBA, and it's a great way for you to kind of keep up to date just what's happening with developments with either with new trail or with our current trail system, and then really to address any concerns that we might have collectively as as a region-wide local chapter. Appreciate you all taking time out of your schedules. Don't hesitate to reach out. You all have my contact info. You can email us at vorbargv@gmail.com. Anything, feel free to reach out. If there's somebody that that's a member that wasn't able to make it, just let them know that we'll be sending a link to the video so they can watch it again. And then the voting form for the action items will remain open until 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. So if they have not voted, they will have that opportunity to vote. All right. I think that's about it. BJ, any last words or comments? All right. We would go get a beer if there were any bars open, but I think we're just going to go home. So appreciate your all's time. Like I said, shoot me an email, text me, call me, any questions. And we look forward to serving you all in the weeks and months to come with just some of the new developments and projects and just great things that hopefully we can get accomplished with VORBA. Get out and ride your bikes before it starts raining. Enjoy the trails. Go ride Harlingen if you haven't ridden it yet. I've been having a lot of people from the Upper Valley coming in and wanting us to give them the tour. So I'm more than happy to take you all and show you the route, show you the work that we've done. And just have a great rest of the week. Happy Friday tomorrow and have a great weekend. Stay safe, shelter in place if you can, and mask up if you have to go out. We'll see you all later. Bye, everybody.
Hello, Raza. Take care.